This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon. The time being 4:45 p.m., I'd like to call the meeting of October 21st, 2021 to order. Before we get started, if you are joining us virtually, please mute your microphone during the meeting unless you wish to speak. Otherwise, background noise will interfere with the meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Now I'll let the record show that Selectman Jessman is not quite here yet, hopefully on his way. First up, review and approve the minutes of October 14th. That sounds like footsteps of Mr. Justin. Anyone have any changes?
I've read them and see nothing
I didn't see
to
anything.
change, so I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Rebel second.
Motion is second to accept the minutes of October 14th. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion passes. Next up, some donations. Let's see. I'll make a motion to accept the donation from in the amount of $500 from Rusty Drew for the downtown fall decoration.
Second.
Motion a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the donation, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I didn't hear it, so I'll abstain.
Okay. One abstention. Thank you, Mr. Drew, for the generous donation. And to the Officer Murray and Delore for helping decorate the downtown. The welcome sign of Tilton looks fantastic because I've been passing it a lot
Indeed.
at night. And I never realized the backside was lit up, and I'm not quite sure who that's greeting. But and a timetable Mabel also looks very well. Let's see, we have some multiple donations to the Tilton Senior Center in memory of Mary Bowden, including $25 from Emily LaPlante and $25 from Ronald and Judith Mills. I'll make a motion to accept those donations.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion passes. Thank you to Ms. LaPlante and to the Mills for your generous donation to the Senior Center. Next up, a donation of 100 Happy Meal and 200 ice cream cone cards from McDonald's for the downtown Tilton Halloween events.
I object to this donation. Can we give up? Can we do this after the Halloween? How did it? We should be doing this after. An ice cream cone, for God's sakes.
What's wrong with applauding McDonald's for giving away?
We did that last week. I talked about McDonald's doing it, but we details about how many and what they were, so that people know what the prizes are and how many and they were. So now people will be approaching us instead of us giving out consolation prizes, going downtown as we've done in the past 10 years. It's a little bit different.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't necessarily agree.
We don't. Well, we don't, number one, need to make every single donation something on ice cream cones available. And I get why the board wants to do this, but these are consolation prizes for our event, which is going to be held next week. So let's do it next week after the event, and then everybody will be happy. We didn't do a donation when John Scanlon went out and bought roses for the Allison Hartwell Garden. We didn't make a motion to accept that donation, did we? We didn't make a motion for a $5,000 stove that sits up at the senior center that was made. We didn't do that. I mean, so where do we draw the line? What do we do and what do we not do? There's not any line. And, you know, I'm not going to squabble over an ice cream cone, but here it is. So we're going to be barraged on Saturday night. I just don't think it's right. You know, we've been doing this for 30 years, and I just think that this undermines our process. Enough said.
I call the question.
Question's been called. All those in favor of the accepting the donation signify by saying aye. Aye.
I object.
Opposed?
Make sure that we do it for every donation that comes in now. Just make sure of that.
All right.
We have.
No, we have, where's the Allison, where's the rose bushes
If
from
you
John
miss the
Scanlon?
top, we can make up for that.
What, I mean,
I believe when we had the donation for the stove, that person wished to remain anonymous.
it's still an anonymous donation. You still have to make a motion, and that's a $5,000 RSA. That's a $5,000 donation. We're not consistent in what we do.
I'll make a motion to accept the kind anonymous
If you
donation.
can, it has to be posted in the agenda. Don't do that, Joe. Needs to be in the agenda.
I'll put it on the agenda for next week.
Please do.
Thank you.
Any that we.
I'm just asking that,
inadvertently
I'm just
missed.
asking that we're consistent in what we do.
Good enough. We've always accepted every little donation. If we miss
No,
some,
we haven't, Joe.
well, if we miss some, I'm unaware.
I have never, ever been
This
aware that we.
conversation is non-productive. Let's move on.
I made some dog bones to the town hall.
Let's move
Oh,
on.
did you say something, Tim?
No,
Probably wants an ice cream cone.
All right. I can get them onto my app because I have a couple thousand. Let's see, next
Can
up,
we mute somebody that's downstairs? Because that's
Yeah,
annoying.
isn't it?
is he on? How do we mute? Well, no, because then that picks us up, but
Tim? Are you listening, Tim?
yes, I'm muted.
Can you mute yourself?
He said he's muted.
I did mute myself.
Okay.
all right. That's weird. All right. Next on the agenda, land use coordinator. Leanne Moynihan, department update.
Yeah, here I am.
It feels like you were just here.
I know, that's what everybody said.
Was it really?
Yeah, and I was late, so I'm back on schedule.
Like,
You weren't like,
Off schedule. So you might not see as many changes. That's in 3 weeks, but tried to give some highlights. Low lights.
low lights. Oh,
All right, we'll start with this, and I have a couple other items. So I did change the format a little bit. I started with the news events at the top to try and highlight some of the new things that are happening right at the top. I want to thank you and Jeannie for the land use vehicle. It is now in service, and it is having a town seal placed on it on Monday by Cutting Edge Graphics. I did attach a copy of the graphics if you have any input or objection. It's not on yet, so we can still make some changes, but it's pretty simple. It's gonna be in black and white. It's on the white car, and we love it. Chuck is ecstatic to have a vehicle that's a little more comparable to building inspections, so they thank you.
I had a question on that. We usually just put the town seal on there,
Mhm.
and that vehicle has always been, well, not that particular vehicle, but the vehicles that we're taking out was available for anybody in town hall. So as opposed to just saying code enforcement on it. I think we still have some of those stickers around.
Well, it's my understanding that it actually is a code enforcement vehicle. It belongs to our department and solely our department for our use and is available to us. That was my understanding.
That's how we do it.
I didn't understand that it was solely for the use of code enforcement.
I have to assume that this car will be available to town hall employees when it's not being used as an active code enforcement vehicle. Is that correct?
When my husband made the donation, it was to code enforcement, it was to the land use department, because I had conversations with him about the current vehicle they were using. It wasn't four-wheel drive, blah, blah, blah. And that was what his wish was. That's the way the donation was made.
Also, if it has code enforcement on it, they know why we're there. You know, Avatar has a car, they drive up there with a white vehicle. There are other vehicles. A lot of towns do have code enforcement cars that say code enforcement, so they know that that's what you're there for. And it, you know, if other people in the department in the town hall are using it, now you got to call and I need to go out, then it's not available to us. So Chuck uses it exclusively for inspections. When he's here and when he's not here, I've already used it a couple times to go out on inspections to properties. So again, it was my understanding, and that's why we wanted to put the seal on it. And that's not what how it's going to be. I guess we need to know now.
The original motion to accept the donation was for code enforcement, and that's the only use that we can use at this time unless the intent of the donor changes it. That's what the purpose was. And for someone else to use that car is with a code enforcement. Did you see the seal? It's in your packet. For someone else, say like health off, well, I don't know, health officers are shady. That's a borderline thing if they're going on the same inspection. But let's say town clerk, tax collector, you couldn't do that because then there would be a liability.
Well, then we need to maintain the town car here.
Or receive, when the towels come in, receive one of the ones that come out of Ryan from there. And then start from that, because he already told us that the town car is inspectable.
No, I understand that. But we would have to maintain a vehicle aside from.
I agree with
code
you.
enforcement.
I totally agree with you.
So, I mean, it's under my report.
I didn't read your.
I read your,
Kevin advised me, because we had the town car for use of the health officer and anyone else, like you said, town clerk, tax collector. Kevin advised that the vehicle is no longer able to be inspected. So it's pretty much gone. And I did call Catherine because she was the one who used the car the most, and asked her if we needed to find a replacement vehicle. And she advised that she uses it over time here, has not been using the vehicle. And she would be just to okay whatever the board wants. If the board wants to get another vehicle, that's, for use, that's fine, but she'd be just as happy with, getting reimbursed for mileages, which is what we have done in the past. If that car is out and somebody needs to use it, they use their own car instead for reimbursement. So,
Right. Might be cheaper to do it that way because they
No.
don't use it that often.
that's what I talked to Tim about it, and that's kind of what he thought.
Right.
I think,
Yeah, and I guess just one more thing. So when you're using the code enforcement vehicle, again, the purpose of having that and having that seal on it, just like Avatar assessing, they know why you're there versus using a car to run to the bank. You're not, granted, you're on town time, but you're not there to do, something, an inspection or some reason why you want them to know your purpose of your visit, especially when you're going to residential homes, businesses. So it's kind of a different animal when you're doing a job that requires you to go on private property.
So when we get to my report, we can have that discussion more if you want us to look for another vehicle, whatever the board wants.
we'll cover it in your report.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm glad I started right out with the hot
Yeah,
item.
all right.
All right. So moving on. So Avatar has sent out letters, as you probably are aware, to residents scheduling interior inspections that need to be completed this year due to COVID. And our office is assisting residents who don't have access to computers to schedule those inspections. If you hear of anyone that's having a problem with that, just have them call us. Or if they have concerns of why the inspections are being done, we're also happy to answer those questions.
I've heard a couple of comments.
Yeah, it's required. It's all necessary, and people don't always understand the process. So usually if we can explain it, just have them call our office and we can clear that up.
Could we put something on the website that explains the process? Because I know a lot of people I saw some posts on the town, whatever site it is, that people wondering why they keep getting letters and that. So if we could have something that just explains the process.
I can
Instead of having.
put something together and talk to Lauren, run it by her, and then we can see about posting it. I had something on my website and hopes that will explain it.
There's a letter that she sent to the residents, and there's a letter that she sent to us. I think you could probably grab that and give it to Tim, and he can get it on the website.
Then people can just be referred, but just read that.
Well, they have the letter.
Yeah.
Right. They're getting the letter.
I think the question is why they continually do it, that they've got them consecutive years, or how the process actually works. Is it every 5 years? Is it every
Well,
2 years?
I think some of the confusion, so you understand, I think some of the confusion right now is because in 2019, we did a revaluation, and then every 5 years, the state requires that you inspect all properties. Last year, you had the reval.
What I'm saying is,
Right.
I understand that, but the people that are asking the questions.
Right, so
If you just-
we'll get it.
Yeah.
And last year, they didn't do
Yeah.
interiors because of COVID, so now they're going on twice. Okay, well, maybe I'm going to take these news items off my report this time. Also, third item is I'm planning on having a joint planning zoning workshop. This year, I have a tentatively scheduled for November 16th, and to prepare the zoning amendments. I think it's a good idea that the zoning board and the planning board work collaboratively on that. So I plan to speak to the planning board. I've already sent an email to the chair, and I've spoken to the zoning board, and they're very accepting of that idea. So hopefully we can do that. If it is definite, I will send out information about it to the other boards. Anyone who wants to come and give input, that would be great.
It's an excellent idea.
FEMA, as you probably know also, is holding a meeting for community officials in the Winnipesaukee River watershed on Tuesday. It's gonna be a virtual meeting to go over, finally they're gonna try and come up with some new flood maps, which we are in need. Upcoming commercial projects, just so you know what's on the horizon. Dialysis center, I might have mentioned last time, at business Park Drive has returned. It had come off and is coming back on, so we should be seeing that at the planning board. And there's a proposal coming forward next month to put electric charging stations at the Tanker outlet. And I believe Tilton School is still looking to operate a coffee shop downtown. So those have not come through us yet, but I understand they'll be coming. New commercial properties that have got their final COs include Jersey Mike's, so that should be opening. And Honda has their final CO. They were working off a temporary CO. And the Tilton Storage got a temporary CO as well, so they're open. And one last thing in news, it appears that our equalization rate will be dropping below 80% this year. I don't know what that will mean. It possibly could mean that we have to do another evaluation. So just keep that in mind. I know in the past, I don't know if DRA will change that because of the volatile market, but their stand is that anytime a town falls below 80%, they can require you to do another reval in less than 5 years. That can get pretty expensive for towns if they start imposing that, because I think we're going to be one of many, many towns that are going to be below 80%. So again, that's not a hard number, but that's what it's looking like. It's looking around 78, 79%. It's a pretty big drop. We were at 94. And we might be in better shape than some because we just did a reval in 2019. So other than that, the rest of the report is the same you've seen before. I won't go through it in detail, but again, our cases are up. We've still got more cases coming in. We're up to 17 cases in planning overall, and actually 21 cases in zoning. That's the highest caseload that I think we've seen probably in the past 10 years. So we're very busy in planning and zoning. And if you want to take the time to go through those, you can. Building permits themselves are up, but the dollars are not. Each year, I think you get carried by some very large project that has come forward, and we haven't had anything really large unless U-Haul decides to pull their permit or gets in here before the end of the year. That'd probably be the only big project that will bump us up around 50,000. Other than that, I don't think we'll be lucky to get to 40 by the end of the year. But things are not slowing down. Inspections are now gone up to between 14 and 17 inspections a week. So he is very busy. He's doing up to 6 and 7 a day some days. So we're very busy with inspections. I've attached his calendars. You'll see how many he's doing per day. We list them all on the calendar.
Are all these inspections being thoroughly documented?
Yes, they are. They're all documented and filed in the iWorks system.
iWorks?
Yeah.
Thank you.
They get scanned right into iWorks. Assessing, we're up to 177 deeds. We're down about 18% from last year on the number of sales. From 2020, 2020 had the highest sales. You can see our equalization ratio was 94.4. As far as complaints and code enforcement, we're doing well. We've cleaned up a lot of issues. We've got a couple older issues still sitting there and a new one for a student, which we are working on. We didn't have a meeting at the site, if you heard anything about that issue, on Tuesday night. And we had the abutters there and had a very cordial meeting and came to some resolution. So hopefully that will be taken care of in the next few days. They're trying to get an electrician out there to make some modifications. Other than that, everything else again is still pretty much the same. I attached the seal in his report, and then I have just a couple other items that I just want to touch. We did talk about at 2 previous meetings about the intermunicipal agreement that I gave you a copy of. I really haven't moved on that. I have copies again I can give you if you like, until I have a go-ahead that I can proceed with that and start speaking with Franklin. And I assume I will send a copy of this to our attorney to review for its legality and agreement. I can give you another copy if anyone would like one. I have them here. So that I know how to proceed with that. We really should get something with that.
What did you say, Jim?
I was just asking if Leanne's basically, we're at a stall point now, just looking for direction from the board. Can she go ahead and approach Franklin about this, or do you need more time to think about it? This is the municipal agreement with Franklin so that we have backup for code enforcement.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Just making, for me, just making sure that the attorney takes a
Right,
plan
that's what I
at
said.
it.
I
Yeah.
don't ask him until I know. And,
And then-
yeah, it's no cost. It's mutual aid. It's basically mutual aid
Yeah.
with that, with Franklin. And I don't believe they'll need us much. They have quite a few inspectors. I mean, it may happen, but if it does, I know as far as Chuck, he's pretty familiar with that. He worked for them, so.
That was going to be my question. I'd like to know how the relationship is working out as it works out.
I'm
If you
sorry.
have to go down there half a dozen times in a week, I'd have to reassess my,
We probably will never go down there.
well, and that may well be so. I'd just like to see that information in a report down the line.
Oh, just how many times we even use it.
So are you okay with them proceeding?
I am.
So do we need to make a motion or just a consensus?
I would say that I will make a motion to allow Leanne to proceed to arrange an MOU with the city of Franklin for backup code enforcement services.
Range or research? What?
I think it's been researched.
Yeah.
Been researched.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
You will, I mean, if I come up with an agreement and get it through the attorney, it's going to come back here for signature. Obviously, you have to sign the agreement, so nothing will be executed until it comes back.
Any other discussion on it? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
So Leanne, just for clarification, if you give that to me, I will give it first to Primex because they don't charge us.
Okay.
And I'll have them look at it first, and if they are comfortable with it, then we should be fine.
Okay.
And I'll write to you.
And then we'll speak with Franklin. And last thing I have, we had also spoken about a plotter, a large, and I do have, again, it's a little bit like, saying we'll just go buy a car. Well, I mean, I could buy a used car, I could buy a Cadillac, I can buy, there's so many options, and I'm certainly not an expert. But I did, and we talked about color, was what I was gonna go back and get some prices, because I think I initially said black, give you prices for black and white. And they go, the ones I have here, I have one for 3,000, which is an HP, and I have one from Canon, which is 4,600, 44 inch. This one's very nice. This top one is probably the nicer one. I can leave these for you to look at. I don't know how you want to proceed with that. This was in the budget for next year, so I don't know if you have to take action now. I do know that Tim was looking to possibly purchase one this year with
This
the
year.
funds.
Yep.
Stuff. So, if we get there, we can get, I can call some other towns, see what they use as well.
Can we make copies of that?
Are they apples to apples? I mean, are they all?
Yeah, the nicer one, there aren't a lot of 44 inch that are not, in the tens of thousands. So this one is a 44 inch color Canon that's 4,600. That was the most reasonable for that size. This one at 3,000 is an HP. It's color, but it's only 36 inch, which is still nice. And obviously 44, if you're gonna get something, some of those large septic plans are 44. So these are the HPs. This is the backup, and this tells you a little bit about them.
Do you have a recommendation?
I was gonna
I
ask
will make copies and go to the board. Thanks.
Has Tim looked at this information?
I think he's been part of this conversation all
Yep.
along. He'll get copies.
Yeah, I did talk to Tim, and I talked to him today, and actually, I think he was gonna call another town too that had just purchased one that he had a connection with and find out what they're using, so.
He also, I think it was the week that you were out, we talked about trying to figure out if there were monies left over this year that we could get it somehow this year, and then the discussion broke out into black and white versus color. Was there a
Right.
big significant difference?
I wasn't here for that.
Okay, and then, so we asked her to come back, asked Leanne to come back for more information on that.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is you probably can, looks like you can get a color 36, 44 inch for under $5,000. And how much you can negotiate or find, or, where we're gonna land with that, but it looks like you can do it under $5,000.
Do
Did you come up with the operating costs? I asked last time.
There is in there, there's one that says with paper, I mean, the paper runs around 200, is that what you're talking about?
Well, what it will cost,
And the ink?
projected cost,
Paper and ink, yeah.
operating costs.
It's hard to know how much how many copies you're gonna make and who's gonna use it, but,
Maintenance contract.
oh, maintenance contract, I don't know about maintenance contract. I did not research. the maintenance contract.
We'll find that out.
Another question?
That
Joe had,
kind of answered my question. I do want to know where the money's coming from. I always want to know that. Do you know that answer?
Tim said.
I do not know that
there was
answer.
money in this year's budget to purchase it. He didn't say where from, but, and if he's listening, maybe he can pipe in. I don't know if he's listening. There he is.
We can hear you.
Yet to be identified. But there should be room to do that, more than likely from the PD budget.
okay.
All right.
Okay, good.
Does that answer
We
your
didn't hear
question?
the word ARPA from him.
Good.
You must have spoken to him, Gina.
No
I,
more.
I have another question unrelated to the plotter.
Good.
Thanks, Tim.
The calendar that you gave us for the code enforcement. Is this what you talked about is in iWorks? So
No.
if he goes out on an inspection, let's say for instance, Jersey Mike, if I'm reading this right, he goes out on a site inspection and then he has a couple of intimate inspections throughout the month related to Jersey Mike's. Is now Jersey Mike's gets closed out. How do we find that information that it's
So
now
the
closed out?
that's just his work schedule. That's
Yeah.
his schedule. So he knows what time he has that's just an appointment schedule.
So how
is
do we
not
find out
iWorks.
what cases he goes on and what cases he closes out? How is that
It's all in
calculated
iWorks.
anywhere?
It's all in iWorks.
It's in iWorks, okay. Yeah.
But every time he goes, if he goes to Jersey Mike's on Tuesday, and then he goes again to Jersey Mike's the following Friday, there's a report for both days. He might be doing an electrical inspection on Monday, and
Right.
and a plumbing inspection on Thursday, and then he might go out for a final. I mean,
So
and
that
those
would
are all
count
separate
as-
inspections.
Got it, that's what was my
And he
question.
fills out a sheet, and then it gets scanned into iWorks.
Okay.
And you pull up iWorks and see how many inspections under our Jersey Mike's were done. And the
Okay.
CO gets in there, and then it gets closed out.
That was my question. Thank you.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank
What's that?
you.
Any other
Thank you.
questions?
Thank you, Dean.
Anything else? All right. Next up, Selectmen reports. John Scanlon.
This, I think Kevin put the light in for the soldiers monument. I saw the light. Is it look nice?
Very bright.
Is
Yeah, I saw it the
there
other
any
day.
little shutters or something added? I don't know.
When you come to Cedar Street and then take a left on, just as you're taking the left
Yeah,
on
on
Winter Street, you
Unified.
go, whoo,
Yeah.
but it's right there.
We have a few of those.
It's LED. too, so, Yeah.
Probably just needs
Is
a
it on,
shield.
is it on all night?
No, it's one of the ones that come off,
Oh.
but when you leave it 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, it's on.
I haven't seen it, so. I guess
I saw it the other night.
Yeah.
It's
bright.
it's great.
It really, when you're going up Main Street, it illuminates the monument beautifully, absolutely stunning. Stunning,
I'll have to take a ride by.
Yeah,
really stunning.
Okay, yes.
half hour, it'll be dark out.
I don't want to call it.
So get that, and I noticed the entering Tilton, that looks really nice out there, when you come down the hill. It's a nice entry to town. So it looks like they've been busy, and I think, looked like I thought I saw it. Traffic was busy that the Maple, the pump was running.
Yeah. He's
working on it.
Yeah, I know, thank you.
You're gonna talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay, but pretty much that's it. Things looking good. Yeah.
I can't wait to
Go
hear
ahead.
about that.
All set? Anything else?
No.
All right, thanks, John. Pat?
Okay, I have a couple of things. First and foremost, I forgot last week and I was very remiss. I don't know how I ever forget thanking somebody, but I did. The Tilton School students came up and helped us with the project at the senior center, bringing the wood in that's going to be our walls in the outbuilding. And that's stacked outside. We didn't want it for the winter. So they came in and helped us bring that in. So thank you to the Tilton School for doing that. Also, Tilton School on October 26th is doing their senior helping senior with picking up the leaves. We have 11 groups, I'm sorry, 9 groups. There's 2 groups that are going on a different day. And that's being coordinated. This is now in almost the 25th year that they've been doing this. It's coordinated with Julia Caldwell from Tilton School. Tilton and Northfield both are recipients of that. The stove. So let's talk about the Taj Mahal of Taj Mahals. I mean, that's a Cadillac of Cadillacs, right, Joe?
Yeah, this is a brand new
So
spanking.
we have, thank you to our anonymous donor. We've had some setbacks in installation, and unbeknownst to us, we've had the fire department up there a couple of times, smell of gas odor. The gas guy has been up there every single night since Sunday evening, hooking it up, and then Monday evening doing some, what do you call it?
Connections,
No,
fittings?
fitting, troubleshooting. And so we finally found it last night. It was in by the burner, underneath the back of the knobs. There is this fitting and it's open. And so that the gas was just coming right out, spewing out into everything. And he took that out and put a plug in. So it's all set, there's no odors now. And the Garland technician came up today and inspected everything. This was a manufacturing, I don't want to say defect, error. So they apologize profusely, but we do
An
have
open
it.
gas line is it?
Well,
Sorry.
it was supposed to go to some type of a pressure point that was going to an accessory, but we didn't get that accessory. So
But
they didn't
had
plug it.
open gas line.
they just left this in there. So that's the way it is. But now we have a beautifully working stove and everybody is very, very happy.
It's a great stove.
So a huge thank to Chris Can, who is the gas guy that went up and hooked it up several times, as a matter of fact, and took out, disconnected and reconnected the loaner. And he did that for the town of Tilton as a gift to the town of Tilton. So his services. I recommended that because he's a scout leader, that we have a pancake breakfast at some point, fundraiser, and give back to the scouts. So we'll coordinate that with the seniors at some point. I do want to thank Kevin and the crew. They worked a lot of time up there this week getting that back together and into the kitchen. I can't thank them enough for their help in doing that. Other than that, there is one item I would like to discuss. Probably best to discuss it in public. I mean, non-public.
Okay.
Not personnel thing,
Pat,
procedure.
there's somebody that I know that could use some leaf raking.
Mhm.
Um,
So get in touch with me and I'll put them,
You
on
know
the
the
list
person
because-
that I'm talking about
oh,
on Sherwood
yes.
Drive?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be.
we are, so how that works over the years, it was Cindy Reinhardt that had initiated that with the Tilton School over these years. And then the last maybe 10 years, I took it over. And the list was kind of set with the Rotary. I guess it was the Rotary Club and Cindy being on the Rotary at that time. They had a list, and then as we know people either have moved or passed away, the list openings come about, and we hear by word of mouth that this person needs something, or this one does or doesn't, and then we put them on the list. And if they can go, they have some limitations with buses and vehicles and walking, whatever. And so if they can accommodate that, then we can do it. This year, we put 3 extra people on because people that have moved and are passed away. So we just added 3 people onto that, but I will look at the list and see. They'll go out again in a couple of weeks, and perhaps maybe we can add that person.
Pat, if they're unable to, and if it's something that needs to be done in the next week, just let me know.
Okay.
I have some healthy young men who, we need time off from afternoon practice every once in a while because we get a little dinged up, so we could take that on.
I have a question.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's for you or for Jeannie, but the contractor who was doing the gas work, and because I get texts of what the calls are and where they are.
Mhm.
Do we have a certificate of additional insured on this person, this contractor? Naming the town Tilton as an additionally insured?
No, we can if you'd like it.
Well, I just, the first time I saw it.
He's certified.
Yes, but I mean, gas scares me.
Well, I get that, but I mean, he's certified in that.
Yeah.
And so, and then we have the fire department come in and inspect each time.
Right.
So the fire department's been there 3 times, inspection including every time. So it's not, I mean, I would be more than happy to, I don't think we'll ever disconnect this again. However, in the future, if you would like that, or if you would like that, in this, he is fully insured and certified. So,
Right.
I mean,
I just want to make sure that the town is
I get it,
protected. I mean,
absolutely.
because God forbid if
He
it was a
is-
Wednesday night, and you had a music.
It
hall
was
full of
Wednesday night, and it was during music, but I did not receive the copy of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have with the W-4, with all of that invoice, but he didn't invoice us.
Okay.
It was a gratuity for us, the town of Tilton, which I found out after the fact.
You need to do inspections through the town.
Tim Joubert did the inspections. Right.
Check that out.
And there were 3, every time he made an adjustment and the fire department came and did an inspection. Every time, without fail.
I mean, I just want to protect the town, that's all.
Yeah, I get it.
Because I had like agita when I saw the second one. I was
I
like,
get
oh,
it.
man.
I don't like my gas grill.
No. All right. Thank you. Anything else, Pat?
No, that's it, thanks.
All right, thank you. Scott Ruggles?
I had nothing until I made a little impromptu visit as I was headed out of town for something today to Kevin, who was working at Timetable Mabel, and very close. So I had a great conversation with him and we talked about it a little bit. He was hoping that it was by this afternoon. When I came back through, there's some water at the base of it, but I think if it's not up and running, I think it'll be up and running tomorrow. So
It is based, it operates based on solar. There was no sun out, so it didn't run. I did ask
gotcha.
him about if there was any electrical nearby, and he suggested that I asked Josh Carter what it would cost to electrify it, because I think it would be great to see it running all the time, not just under solar, and what that would cost.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
it'd be an amazing feature
Yeah.
coming into
Yeah.
town.
I think it's well worth that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was, yeah, and quickly, it was fascinating to hear him talk about what he had to do. The fact that there was no drill bit that could actually go through the entire length, so he had to make some adjustments, and it was good.
I am
So,
just so impressed with him. It's just amazing.
yeah, and we talked about we don't have to have extensive discussion, but we also talked about, possible future improvements along the rail and stuff there, and things to just take a look at. So it was a good conversation with him. I'm glad I stopped. And that's all I have.
All right. Thanks, Scott. Joe Jensen.
I hate to beat a dead horse. Perambulation. We were supposed to go last week and things came up for the Samerton representative. And so we're going again this week. I make no promises. We're ready. We've got everything together and we're ready. And that's my big thing for the week. I will say, I'll throw in on that sign coming into Tilton, historic downtown Tilton, and the way the town is decorated with pumpkins and hay, stalks.
Yeah.
I like it. It's kind of folksy, and I like it a lot. And to those who have made that happen, thank you very much. I don't know who you are particularly, but it was a wonderful thing. Thank you.
There were several comments about that on Facebook, by the way. I know Jeannie's not really a Facebook person, but several comments from people in Northfield and Tilton that said it is so welcoming to come into the town of Tilton to see. It was just like feeling like it was home, coming in to see all the decorations. It's great,
Very well received.
very.
Just wait till.
And that's it for me.
All right.
Wait till Christmas, that would be nice.
Thanks, Joe.
Live.
Oh, yeah, make snow down Main Street every day.
Live.
Pump it from the dirt. All right. I had one question because I saw a question. We're bringing up Facebook a lot tonight, but I had a question of, we're doing trunk or treat on Saturday night. The Tanger Outlets is doing Halloween on Friday night. The actual trick or treating door to door
Saturday night.
is on Saturday night in town Tilton. Okay, I forgot what it was and I didn't know, so I thought I would ask. And I'll beat that dead horse.
Is that posted somewhere? Somebody else asked. Is it on the website?
Maybe we could put the signboard up that says trick or treating,
Yeah, that is a good idea.
because otherwise you're all gonna get visitors on the 31st. And I'll be out of candy, except for Pat's house, because she has a lot of stuff.
Nobody comes to my house.
I'll come
I have
here.
5 kids.
You came last year. It's even when I came with my, a couple of years ago.
We didn't get many kids last year. And then,
Scary.
wow. I have to say that going to work at 4:30 in the morning the last week, seeing the orange and purple lights, because I don't know if Pat sees it, but
Yeah.
looking all the way down Main Street without any cars around.
Yep.
And tomorrow morning, I'm going to take my camera because the air was a little humid today and it carried a little different. It was kind of cool. So I'm hoping that it's,
Twinkly.
no, it's eerie. It was a little more eerie. So like, I was like, ooh, if we had a smoke machine, that would be pretty cool. Yeah, well, that's another story, but, so thank you to the gremlins that,
That would have been Johanna Ames and Leanne Whitehan, myself and Officer Murray.
well, thank you.
Of course.
I saw you. And-
Nicely done.
And
Excellent.
the welcome to downtown Tilton sign looks fantastic as well. Because I've been going to work and dark and coming home in the dark, so seen it. And I never knew the backside of the welcome to Tilton sign was lit, and who doesn't welcome because there's no one back there. Anyways, that's all I had. So everything else was answered that I had questions about. So we are a little ahead of schedule.
Let me do my report.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, can we squeeze your report in?
Sure. So we should have all gotten a copy of my report. I think you heard earlier that we got good news from Health Trust that our medical rates were reduced by 8.1%, dental rates reduced by 1.5%. Short-term disability coverage increased very slightly. There was no change in long-term life or benefit advantage I can give you numbers if you're interested. I can send you numbers if you're interested about the actual change. As an example, the 80/20, a single person went from 1,016.67 in 21 to $934.32. So if anyone wants to see a copy of the rate,
That's pretty good.
the rate exhibit, I can send that. I would like to, assuming the board approves the contract with Health Trust, I'd like to start the open enrollment about mid-November, and it goes for about a month. So I'd like the board to consider signing the contract, the member group transmittal.
Does this mean what we charge the employees?
It is the cost of it, and then there's, and I didn't bring that with.
Administration on top of that, right? And when you have that, I would like to see that rather than,
Yeah, and Tim hasn't done it, but we haven't put that.
that's fine. I'm no hurry with it. I just didn't. So there's no need for us to take a look at buyout this year because it's reduced,
Find out what.
changing the buyout price. In the past, we looked at what we do for buyout for employees to kind of entice them to take a buyout rather than paying an exorbitant amount because insurance has increased so much.
I would not recommend that.
Yeah, because we've decreased it, right? That's good news.
So is the board amenable to signing this, or do you want to wait?
I'm good.
No,
Yeah.
good.
I'm good.
Okay, so I will put the extra signature lines.
Do you need a motion or no? Just sign it?
I think we can just sign it. While you're doing that, you saw in the report, we talked about a little bit earlier, Kevin advised the town car is not able to get an inspection sticker. I did talk to Catherine, and she said, as I mentioned to you, she really doesn't use a town car. And my question to you is, do you want a replacement vehicle, or do you want to move to a reimbursement for mileage? If you want to do that, probably create a policy on what's acceptable for use. But you tell me what you want to do.
Pat,
I think, looking at the last years that we've had it, there's been a lot of people that used the town car when it was in working condition, to and from conferences and things like that. But now we have just a real small handful that would even do that, or would even be eligible to do that. I would say go with the mileage and not do the expense of trying to insure, maintain, and have a town car here for us, and let them go ahead and do the mileage, develop a policy to when, where, how to use the mileage, reimburse mileage. Because you only have the town clerk, tax collector that goes on conferences, or the deputy. And then, Tim and Jeannie would go to conferences or.
I've always used my own car.
Yeah.
I've never submitted for mileage.
Right, and so then you have the health officer. Occasionally, maybe you'll have somebody that might go to a training in Concord.
good.
Yeah,
John?
that's an ideal way of doing it. Presently, if the town car is not available, they use mileage. We're removing the availability of town cars, so just segue right into whatever we were doing for mileage. And just check the forms if they were agreed to.
Is that a consensus, or do you want to?
Is that it? Pat, you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joe?
I'm okay.
I'm okay.
Okay,
So that is consensus for you.
all right, thank you. Next item, I had it on my list too, the New Hampshire Floodplain Management Program, it's holding a meeting with the community. officials on the Winnipesaukee River watershed. It's going to be a Tuesday. You heard Leanne mention it. So if anyone wants to, it's a virtual meeting. If anyone wants to attend, I'll send you the link, just so we know. I'll forward you the email anyway, so you can see it. And then you can,
I wish it were a little bit later, I could do it.
all right, Christmas wreaths. Christmas tree around the corner. I assume you want me to go ahead and have our party provide wreaths again this year?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
In the FYI, we have the Primex renewal rates, the property liability that saw a 13.7 increase. That's due to higher than expected general liability, property, auto, physical damage, and cyber claim cost for members. The increase in the cost of property and liability reinsurance. Workers' comp, we actually saw a minus 11.2 decrease. We saw a decrease. It went from $54,794 to $48,634 in terms of what we're going to pay. The employment compensation also saw a 13.4 decrease from $953 to $825. And that was due to lower unemployment compensation claim cost due to federal finance relief and the low unemployment rate. So that's where we are with Primex rates for 2022. And you'll see that I met with Pat Clark, Vince Piratori, and Java Lindblom, who's with UNH Extension, to discuss potential projects on Main Street. We walked up and down Main Street. And Vince, at the end, that actually volunteered to help us with our parking signs. Kevin has a parking sign, old parking sign at DPW, and I've sent that off to Vince. Anyone wants to see what it looked like.
Yeah.
And just a reminder, the Taste of the Trail RPAs is Thursday, October 28th.
And where is Bob's place?
It's
The old
Jim Cropsey's building.
What?
Jim Cropsey's book.
Oh,
The one that,
oh, yeah, yeah.
I have a question for Jeannie.
Yep.
I think it was last week, it might have been the week before, you wanted to do a core group for economic development. Is that core group going to be a staple group in the town of Tilton? You know, is it sort of gonna gear to, is your intent to gear towards it being a permanent committee for the town of Tilton?
Like Main Street Committee?
Well, no, sort of like park committee, executive committee, senior center, you know, one of those committees, like the 150th
So-
committee.
Right, so are you saying officially that we create and they have to have membership? Is that where you're going with it?
No, well, not a membership, no. Not a membership that we would approve a membership, but a membership that be under the town of Tilton and then have a economic development committee. You know, you pick the people that are on that committee. I don't have a problem with that, but I think that we should have something going forward. And I thought about this, well, that's what you want. And then you meet, you know, on regular times and that you come up with things to do in regular times. And it's a legitimate forthcoming meeting under the town of Tilton. And these, whoever these people are, they're a committee, a legit committee under the town of Tilton. And so that's what I was where I was coming from. We don't have an economic development committee.
No.
So you're thinking of gathering together. I didn't know whether it was just a research kind of a thing or where are you going to go with it. But I think that we, you know, this is what you want to do. This is where you want to go with it. We should develop it as a committee. I don't care who's on the committee. That's not important. That's important to you. and what you want to do with it, your structure of the committee.
So is what you're asking, you're like the 150th where we're taking minutes and people can see what we're doing? Is that what you're asking?
So people, I guess, I didn't really think about the minutes and taking minutes and all that. I didn't even think about that in my head, but what I'm thinking is that people see, you can, you'll, every once in a while, post something, you'll report on it, or your committee members will report on it, people will hear about it. The more people that hear about it, the more people that will engage in it, that kind of thing. And that's sort of where I'm coming from on it.
So at this point, I think what I discussed with the board last week was the idea that there would be a small core group. Eric and Scott have agreed to be on it. I wanted to have 2 business people be on it, and myself, Leanne, and basically come up with a plan. If you remember, as I said to you before, this is not for even the small core committee to decide which way the town is going and what direction it's headed. It's for them to come up with a proposal, a plan, an idea, a concept that we put in front of this board. At that point, I would say I have no issue with, having a formal committee. But my experience with Main Street, my experience with committees is, and this is not to exclude people, you can have subcommittees, but I wanna be very careful that what it is we decide to do, we can do, that we have success. We start with small projects. People get excited at, Tilton had a Main Street program. And I know you had people in here doing Main Street things, but then the excitement dies
Fizzle.
down.
Right.
People get tired.
They didn't
And
show up.
I don't
Right.
want that to happen. I can tell you from my experience in Meredith, and I'm on the Main Street Committee there, and we are still in operation after all these years, and it's because we've been very focused and not taking on more than we can, because the minute that you take on more and you say you're going to do something and it doesn't happen, then people say,
Yeah.
you just lose legitimacy.
Yeah.
So that was my thought, is that we would start with this core group. We would come up, we were going to do a SWOT analysis. We're going to talk about what could, potentially be done, and then bring that to the board and say, hey, this is what we think as this core group, because you've got 2 selectmen, you've got 2 business people, and you've got 2 town employees, land use and town administrator. And this is what we think. What do you think? And you all may say, well, yeah, no, I don't like that. Yes, we like that. So you've given us direction, then we go from there. But I don't see, Pat, I see maybe 1 or 2 meetings with this group. And I don't see a need to make that in a committee yet. That's my opinion.
I just want it to be a success because I like what you had to say. I like what you're going to do. And, I in my brain is if you pick the right people, they'll work with you. And,
Absolutely.
and if they work with you, if it's a committee and they have the support, go for it. So just want them to know that if they have our support, that's all. But once you bring that to us, then we'll go from there. I'm very excited about it.
I'm a big believer in baby steps and checking in a lot, or we get too ahead of ourselves.
I have a lot of respect for your expertise, so.
Second that.
So one other thing, it wasn't on the report, but I'm not sure who's doing what with it, but was The planter out front, it was for the repointing of the bricks, and we're waiting for that. I think the garden's done probably, right?
I think the garden's done, and, I mean, that's another conversation at some point about beautification in the downtown and, you know, as we move forward and relative to the repointing, that was an issue that Pat brought up because somebody had volunteered to do the repointing, and then I just never heard anything else about it, so.
How can we go forward with that?
Again, it was
Can you
John
commit to doing
Cirillo
it?
that had brought that forward. I was the vehicle only to bring that forward. And Ron Dunlop has done most of the pointing in this building on this town hall, particularly on this side in between here, in his father. And my recollection of that was that I told John, I may be mistaken in this, told him to Ron to get in touch with Jeannie, and that we would have to coordinate it with Catherine in her plans, because they have, that front end of it has to be emptied. Because after talking to Catherine, said, what do you need to have happen if we're going to repoint that? And she said that it needed to be emptied, and we need to make sure that the plants are safe because they're all perennials. And so that was the last I heard of that. So we could touch bases back again with John, or Ron.
I just go
There
right
must
to
be,
Ron, and, you know, if anybody needs help for
yeah,
plants, or, you know, I can get out there and
I think we have the number
shovel or whatever.
downstairs. I mean, either Gail or in Joyce's Rolodex was Ron Dunlop's number.
It might be that.
Stonehenge Mason, it's Stonehenge.
might
Isn't
be
that the name
time.
Stonehenge?
Yeah, there is a thing called.
And I think it's one of them. That's his company. But I can also check back with John Cirillo and see whether that's happening. If you'd like me to do that, I have no problem
Yeah.
with that.
You know, if they need help digging out the flowers or clearing that out,
Yep.
just give me a ring.
Do you
Well, it's
want
not
me
my
to-
Perambla day.
Do you want me to coordinate that, or do you want to?
I guess I would be, because I wasn't part of that conversation. I don't know anything about it. I don't want to, I'd be more comfortable if somebody else was part of that conversation, going back and saying, are you still interested, or do you want to do this? Because I don't know.
I'll talk with Ron. I'll call Ron myself and ask him if he's still interested in doing that, and then have him contact you. Does that sound
But
good?
that's fine.
Okay. I could do that.
All right. Anything else, Jeannie?
No, I'm all set unless anyone has any questions for me.
No? I would, anyone, we gotta do a quick little stretch before our public hearing. We'll take a 5-minute recess. See if the crowd comes in.
Appetizers.
Oh, yeah.
Appetizer, meatballs.
I could have brought them in.
Oh,
Did you?
Yeah.
I could have brought them in.
Oh, I would have been happy camper.
We should have called in.
To go order, delivery.
To go order, yeah.
Oh, Joe knows what it was. Appetizer.
Yeah, I know what you like.
Trick or treat. Trick or treat.
Trick or treat. If you want, give them a-
Oh, thank you. No, I'm all set.
Sure.
Thank you.
So everything all cleared out down there, huh?
It's getting there. Yeah, it's getting there. We got all the structures down. Now we're just gotta get to the cement and the tar and all of that.
Find anything interesting, any old leftover mail or rare stamps
No,
from the
nothing.
post office?
No. Old insulation. That's pretty much it.
Mice,
Well, lots of that.
that squirrels. love
Yeah,
that
a
place.
lot. Both those buildings were just, they were terrible. They were terrible.
But looks better already.
It's gonna be great when it's all done and cleaned up. It's gonna look super.
How much time do we have? Oh, a minute.
4.5 minutes. That look okay?
They all have.
Okay.
You still fishing a lot or?
No,
Wait.
well, I do, I do more ocean fishing. Doug does a lot of lake fishing. He's big into that. So, I mean, I still can't believe how much bait we sell in the winter,
Oh, yeah.
live bait.
Well, bomb houses are an excuse.
Yeah, and especially during the Derby. We open up sometimes at 4:30, and there's a line out the door. People want.
Frozen worms.
What's that?
Frozen worms.
Live bait,
No,
yeah.
the live bait, shiners and smelt.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's, over in Alton at the traffic circle, there's a store there. In the wintertime, they have a big tank with smelt.
Yeah.
And it's like- At first I thought it was like a dirty tank. Because
Right.
there was like hundreds of them in the tank.
Yeah.
But then you smelt it.
And I smelt it.
Nice.
I'm done now. I'm done.
Yes, please.
Because actually,
It's John.
I had to try to get.
Raise the goal. Fishing in the ocean, you know,
I've got
a bunch of us was ready to boat and go out.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
And
my
we
whole week's
we
supposed
got a lot of,
I can do.
actually,
I'll have budget
a
next
lot of
Wednesday
cardboard
and
still coming in.
Thursday.
Are they, is that kind of like dwindling off out there?
Oh,
or do you go-
you
Yeah.
want offshore fishing?
Yeah,
Up for cod, yeah. When I grew up with my dad used to take me since I was 12 years old on a party boat every Sunday. We go about 30 or 40 miles.
every Sunday.
Every Sunday on a
Sure.
church report, and we jig for cod. And
Yeah.
At 14, let me see, look how it was, 76, I was 11. I have an award from the Governor King at the time of Massachusetts. At 11 years old, I caught the largest cod caught on Massachusetts waters that month. It was a 67-pound cod.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
11
So-
years old.
So that would be up to your shoulders.
It was bigger than me.
So you didn't have them fillet it on the boat, did you?
Yeah, they filleted it.
But you have, like,
Yeah, they had mates on the boat, and later on, when I got older, I helped work on the boat too. So
oh, nice.
my dad he'd sit on the poker table, he'd play poker with his
Oh, yeah.
cronies, and because it was about a 2-hour, 3-hour ride out and back. So most of the time was spent riding in the boat, and they would just play poker. And, you ever see that game with that picture with the dogs playing poker and they're
Oh, yeah.
passing
Yeah.
cards under the table and all that? That was them.
Yeah.
They used to cheat. It was terrible.
Yeah, we used to go, on the Cape Ann, was it Yankee Fleet? I think it was?
Oh, sure. The Yankees out of Hampton, right? Or Plum Island.
And there was a guy that always, he dealt with us an old timer. He always had us. I'm trying to think his name, but,
Us, yeah.
and he always had us, you know, our group, we always asked for him as the captain and everything. And, but I caught a 54-pound cod.
No.
And I was so proud of it. And at that time, we were living, my wife was going to school in Boston. We were living in Boston. And I had to show how big it was. So I brought it home whole, just got it in, walked in. I'm in the elevator in the building with this cod. Of course, it smelled like beer and fish. You know how it gets up there.
Sure.
And she's like, get that thing out of here. I'm like, it's 54 pounds.
That's a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny, cod was
Jeannie coming back?
wonderful back
Right.
then, and haddock, not so much.
Should I start
But
this
now it's
before she gets
switched.
back or no?
Um, Yeah, the cod grounds are shut down. I think they haven't been open now for a while. But I
All
have
right.
a friend of mine that goes fishing and he catches a bunch of keeper haddock, which I think have to be 16 inches. And there's a bunch of haddock around. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that. There she is. All right. Well, the time being 6 PM, I'd like to open the public meeting on parking at Winnisquam Market. Craig Weitzman, owner of the market, is asking the board to consider some changes to the parking, and we thought it would be appropriate to hold a meeting so that interested parties could weigh in. The meeting was published on our website and flyers were hand delivered to affected parties. Mr. Weitzman, would you like to start your presentation? If you could sit here for us, please, so you're.
Thank you.
And we do have a couple people online too. Can you hear us okay online? I see one.
I
thumbs
hear
up.
you perfectly.
I can hear you.
All right, thank you.
So, okay. Good evening, everybody, and thank you very much again. So I have everybody have, yeah, you all the pictures. So you have pictures here of so we have, it's the one way that comes down. I believe there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots before the entrance to the store. And then past that, there's 2. And what I would respectfully request from the board is putting the same kind of that you have downtown here, the 2-hour parking limit, maybe a couple of signs here along where the 6 spots are, and 1 spot and 1 by the 2 spot. Only because there is such limited parking in that area. And what the problems people have been doing in front of the store, I think I have 5 spots there, very busy. And the problem really is in the summer, people parking and leaving their car all day or over the weekend. I mean, we've had them there for longer than that. And we just have such limited parking that it really affects us. And so I would just, again, request that that the board would consider putting the same 2-hour parking limitation on those spots.
All right. Is that it? That's it in a nutshell.
That's it. I think that's it in a nutshell.
All right. I guess we'll go with the public. We have a couple people online, so if anyone, do we have to unmute them?
Hello,
Hello. Oh, we got
my
some.
name's Dan Doyle, and I live at 1011. I'm unit number 3. I do have 3 parking lot spots inside the parking area of our condo units.
1011.
What's
I'm
that,
sorry.
sir?
Can you just identify 1011? You just say a street, just for the record.
I'm sorry. Yep. 1011 Laconia Road, Unit 3.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I was just wondering, I understand what the store owner is going through. It gets very tight in there. But if you were to consider to go over to 2-hour parking, would there be any chance for the one time, 2 times a year, like around 4th of July, I might have 1 extra car? Would there be any chance that I could get some type of, I know some places use like a permit since I live there, that maybe I'd be allowed to park 1 car out there for the day if I needed it?
Now, sir, this is Craig from the store. And you're in the condo with Bill right there in those 4 condos?
I am.
Okay, yep. So, if you have, those times when you need some, an extra parking spot.
Nope.
No.
Yeah. Oh, direct those to
He
me.
needs to
Sorry.
answer those questions.
Right.
first.
Got to go through the selectmen.
I had an answer for him, but I apologize. So whatever
So he had a question.
Oh, he had a question for him. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the answer responds to the chair.
Okay, got it.
There's not a
Got it. I
dialogue.
apologize. I didn't know. I'm sorry.
So I don't have an answer, so maybe Mr. Weissman, do you have an answer?
Yep, if we get along great with the people in the condo, the owners of the condo, we work closely with them. And if he had a couple situations in the summer that he needs a spot, I've got places in the Lobster Connection, and I'll also have a place in the new where we're going to do the employee parking in the new area that we're cleaning up, and they can just come and see me, and I'll take care of them.
Thank you. Pat?
Is that in a different place other than the municipal parking that you're talking about?
It is.
Okay,
Yeah, it has nothing to do with that parking.
okay.
Nope.
I respect what he's saying, but I'd still like the selectmen to maybe consider that permit so that I've
So-
got nothing against the market owner. We do get along great, and I believe what he's telling me is the truth. But if anything was to change over the years, I'd still like the opportunity to maybe be able to park a car out there once or twice a year. So that's all I'm saying. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I apologize, but I've forgotten your name, but let me, in the past, what we've done here at the municipal overnight parking, if there is only one space for overnight parking here, if somebody has a guest, they've gone to the police department and gotten a permit for that one exception. So we've just revamped the policy though, Bob's policy, and I don't know if that's in that or not. If they carried that over.
Well, the parking policy that we've been talking about, that we've been working with Lieutenant
Gilman, right,
that's for the downtown.
right. Well, that would still, the exception to the policy, so if there was a one night of what we've done here at the overnights, if there was a person that had a visitor, like the mom came for just one night, they would go up to the PD and get a permit, a sticker, just a temporary sticker, and put it on their vehicle, and that way the vehicle wouldn't be towed. And that would signify to the other police officers that it wouldn't be towed. But so that could be something that we would discuss further, I guess, would be the answer to that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, we would discuss that in our
Yeah.
discussion.
Right.
If something like that could get worked out, I would not have any issues at all with the market trying to get more parking, because he's right. In the summer, it's insane down there. Can hardly get through. So, but I mean, even 2-hour parking would still be tight. But yeah, there are people that come from nowhere that just park there and leave.
Pat?
How many people are in the condo? How many people actually own condos?
There are 4 units, 3 parking spots for each of us.
So
Okay.
there's 12 parking spaces.
Yep. And we usually manage very well with it. But again, like a 4th of July or a Labor Day, when everyone comes up, the ability to have a parking spot here and there would be very nice.
Made note of that. Is there anyone else from the public?
Yes, my name's Laura Johnson, 1025 Laconia Road. And much like Dan, I absolutely support the store. We always do in all their endeavors. They do a great job taking care of the store, taking care of the area, so we appreciate that. But much like Dan, probably a little bit different. We have plenty of parking. We don't have a problem with parking. But sometimes when we come back, it's very rare. I think Craig can share that we always meet our guests outside. We push them into the pen so that they don't use the public parking. And every once in a blue moon, there's something we're trying to put our boat inside, for instance, our pen there, or a tenant comes and they have a boat and it's too congested. Sometimes our driveway's blocked. Sometimes the driveway, you just can't access it because everything now, instead of having those exits in a couple spots, it all dumps out right there. So we're in the same spot where, or thinking the same thing as Dan, if we're in the area, we're hoping to be able to obtain permits so that if we get stuck out there or we get blocked out there, that we don't have to wait or chase somebody down. People get angry when you ask them to move. I'm only here for a second, and they're there for a half hour, and you have to wait versus going and enjoying your, you know, your day on the lake. So we're like-minded with Dan, but again, we absolutely support the store's timing, because there are people that park there all day or all weekend, and we can see where that causes an issue for the store.
Okay. Joe, oh, did you have a?
I'm just curious, who are these people that are parking there? But I guess it doesn't really make any difference to this conversation. The fact is they're doing it.
They're blocking their driveway. Miss Johnson, they're blocking your driveway?
Absolutely, they park right in front of it. It even has a little no parking sign, and they still block it. And we sometimes are threading a needle to get through there, but say for instance, we come with a jet ski or a boat, or our tenant comes with a boat, we have plenty of parking, but getting to it can be a challenge. It's not often, so I'm not complaining, but if it's 5-6 times a year, what we do is we pull over in that area until it clears up, but we don't want to be held hostage. You know, if we want to go out for the day or do something, we don't want to be held hostage to move our car within 2 hours. But it's public, oftentimes it's store people, but we've had other people park there as well. So it's not just the store patrons.
Okay, thank you. Pat?
I can't see where you can have that and 2 hour. I mean, it's either has to be one or the other. You either have 2 hour and enforce the 2 hour, or not have 2 hour, because once you start making accommodations for condos in Laura, then you've just dismantled the entire policy. So you kind of have to figure out we kind of have to figure out which is most important, and it kind of leaning towards the 2 hour parking is most important. And then those 5 or 6 times that people are blocking may not be blocking if they strictly enforce the 2 hour parking.
What Laura's saying is that it's these 2 parking spots she's talking about here.
Right, the 2.
So right here. So the 2 here, the parking spots aren't the problem for Laura, because they're not in the way. This is because they have their fence here, and this is their entrance to their place here.
Yeah.
What she's saying is that if somebody parks here,
Right.
which is illegal, has nothing to do with the 2 parking spots, that's when it becomes a problem for them.
Mhm.
And if they leave it, you know, if most of the time it's someone when it's crazy busy on the weekends and they're just trying to find a spot, they run in real quick for something or whatever, but it does block them sometimes. So what I think what Laura's saying is that she doesn't want to, if she has to park here for a little while, she doesn't want to, because they can't get through. I don't know how many times that actually happens, but if it does, I think that's what she's saying. And I think, and I would extend, we get along fine, we get along great with them. And I would extend the same thing with them, that if they have a spot, I have spaces behind the store as well that we can figure out something for them. But in terms of what she's saying is that this area here that somebody's parking and there's a no parking sign, there's parking here, has nothing to do with these 2 spots, and it has nothing to do with the 2 hour. It doesn't affect it. The 2 hour parking doesn't affect it.
So even if there was 2 hour parking, if there was somebody parking there, somebody's still going to park in front.
Somebody's going to still park here. That's what it is.
They could, but I think what I'm trying to share is that if somebody's parking there, those 2 spots that are there will sometimes leave something there while we wait to access, or if it's too congested for us to pull out and put our boat in the pen. It's only a few times a year, and we absolutely try to work around that, but we wouldn't want to come out to a ticket when, for instance, people block our driveway. No one's ever been ticketed this whole time, and sometimes people have parked there for hours. I've had people park in my driveway for hours, and Tilton never enforces any of that. So I just don't want to park somewhere because I can't get in my driveway and then get a ticket or have a problem when I have no control over that.
I'm actually hoping that this is gonna help that,
Mm.
because now instead of having people park their cars right in the most congested area right here where the store is, there's only 5 spots and this makes it 7, and now if somebody leaves their car there for the weekend, it ties that spot right up rather than people just doing what they're supposed to be doing and coming in, buying a sandwich and leaving. So there's I think it's gonna help the flow of that.
What about the
Well-
boat ramp? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, John, did you have?
So if we went to 2 hours, I think that would be very helpful because it would make more turnover for the spaces and less likely that somebody's going to try and in and out parking because there'll be more. The other thing is it seems like that access that you have your driveway there, that could be even considered a fire lane because it's access to that property for fire lanes, which could be striped and have a significant fine to it. And posted.
That would be awesome.
Great.
And I think if somebody saw that they're parking in a fire lane, it says $500 fine for stopping or parking, that they might think twice a little more. And that might be a good idea, it's designate that as a striped fire lane.
Jeannie, did you have a comment? He just beat you to it?
You'd have to get them to designate it as fire lane, the fire
Well,
department.
I would think if it's access to a house and an only driveway and that road, because that's like a right of way road.
But getting them to do that because it's private area.
I'm sure that.
Right.
I can bring it to the commissioners.
Bring it to the commissions. I have a question.
Yeah, Pat, go ahead.
How does this affect the boat ramp, in and out of the boat ramp?
There's no boat ramp there.
Doesn't the state along in front here have a,
No, there's no boat ramp here. It dead ends here. There's no,
along this way down to the lake?
it's on the other side. You mean the grass area?
The grass area, right.
Yep, there's no boat ramp there. It's just grass to, I think Laura can probably comment better to it, but it's grass area to
Yeah.
a little sub-building, a little.
But New
It's
Hampshire
a water level check for the state, and that's all they want is access to that building, and by being able to walk over the grass, they have plenty of access. There's no access to anything over there, no steps, no anything, so it doesn't affect any of that area.
There's actually boulders there
got
blocking
Yes.
it.
It's okay.
Yeah,
At one time, we had an issue with boats going down there. Remember that, Laura?
They'd have to drive over the little house, yeah.
yeah, they
Yeah.
can't get through. There's boulders there and
Yeah,
it's
now
not,
this
it's totally
boat, I
blocked out.
haven't been there for a while, so.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that answers that. So I think we need to talk about it as a board now to figure out
Yeah.
what we're gonna do with the condo and the issue that Laura has. And I think it's reasonable to entertain the 2-hour parking.
I definitely think it's reasonable. I guess we'll close. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to make a comment? I see it. Chuck Robert on there. Mr.
Oh,
Robert?
that's Laura's,
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Different, same house, different rooms.
mhm.
Okay. Oh, this keeps flashing. Okay. So we can close it to public comment and discuss it amongst ourselves.
I wish
Amongst the
Abe were
board.
here.
Yeah,
I wish Abe were here so that we could ask him about the parking and if there would be a permit, a temporary permit issued like we did years ago here. I don't know that.
You can certainly bring back, I don't think there's any urgency to this now that you're, am I correct? In solving this in the next week or so.
No.
Right? So
So we
we
can-
can bring you back and have that conversation with the lieutenant, sorry.
Right. I think that would be prudent of us to talk with the lieutenant because he's revising the parking policy for us, the downtown policy. And I want to ask him about the temporary permit If the-
Excuse me. Is,
So
is,
the-
is public meeting still open or did you close it?
I close it to the public.
Okay, I'm sorry. I did have a question.
So if in fact that would still be available, that would resolve one of the issues, and then we would still, I'd like his input on Laura's issue, Laura and Chuck's issue in front of their house.
You can also bring Tim Schubert or somebody from the
Mm,
fire department. and ask
Exactly.
the question.
Good point, yeah.
Yeah, I can,
So we can schedule that.
Yeah, because I would have some input on that as well at the time, so
Mhm.
that'd be great.
Scott Ruggles?
So just a question, and I know that when we had broached the subject about the parking and times before, there had been a brief mention of possibly with the 2 spots, okay, that we see in our right-hand picture here, going to 30-minute parking. I thought I remembered someone saying that. So, and I didn't know if maybe that would facilitate, those folks coming in and out quickly, and then the other spots sort of as being those ones that where to me, and I've been by there and I've been in the parking lot, that might facilitate a little bit more ease of movement in and out and around. Just as I think about it, have been there, have seen people turning and spinning and doing all that stuff. So just an idea. I don't want to muddle the picture too much, but just thinking.
Can I have an input on that? Or you have an, sorry.
Yep, no, go
Okay,
right ahead.
great. I would fully support that. I just wanted to try to make it as fair and easy as possible for everybody, and that's why I just suggested the same thing as the town. But that would be wonderful because you're absolutely right. That area right in front of the store and those 2 spots is where the most congestion happens.
We've just done that on Main Street where we're redesignating
Right.
some of the busier spots to
Right.
30-minute parking.
That would even improve all of even the congestion issue here. So even somebody who wants to, let's just say, go to the Lobster Connection and go sit over there, they would, because of the 30 minutes, they would now they would need to park somewhere else, which would help that flow there.
Let me ask you this then. On a busy weekend, like July 4th weekend, can you get your customer that parks here in the 30-minute parking, can you get them in there, get a meatball sandwich and out in 30 minutes?
Yes, 30 to 45 minutes.
Or 45 minutes is too long.
I know.
So you just.
I'm just saying worst case, I'm just trying to be very honest,
If
right?
it's
So
off-
I think 90% of the time, 30 minutes will work fine. And I think if there's an
Good.
occasional time that it might be a little bit longer, but not much.
So we have to look at it from a standpoint of the busiest time of the year. The busiest time, your season is the busy time. In the
Correct.
summer. And so Lobster Connection the same way. I know for a fact you're not going to get in and out of there in a half hour. So I would park if I'm going to Lobster Connection in a different space. But to go into your store, and if there's, 6 or 7 people ahead of me and they're all waiting for a meatball sub, I'm not going to get back out there in 30 minutes. I know I'm not. So, 1 hour parking, a 45-minute parking, maybe, but I would not venture to even suggest a 30-minute because only if you're busy.
Right.
It would blow it right out of the water, I think, my own personal opinion.
No, I think you bring up, I think you have to think in busiest season scenario, absolutely. But as I was,
But I agree
as I
with
was
you.
thinking in terms of, when we have the alterations on Main Street,
Yep.
is that having those 2 spots, which are standalone from the other, obviously,
Right.
that might be able to facilitate a little bit more in terms of
What I'm hoping.
alleviating congestion.
And what I'm hoping, there's not anybody with a punch card that says, this is the time I punch in, no time I punch out. So so what I'm just hoping, and that would actually help that, would just motivate people
Mhm.
to do the right thing.
Right.
And the 30-minute, whether it's 30 or 45 or whatever, they're going to be there and they're going to go, okay, wait a minute, I don't have time to go over to Lobster Connection and so forth. I got to park over there. And that certainly would help the flow of things.
And it would also help Laura and Chuck's situation where the cars would be going out
Absolutely, it would free that up more.
a little bit. So it would be more out open because now they wouldn't unless it would not help them if they're parking in front where they're not supposed to be parking.
Right.
That's one area that we have to address. So I think we have a plan going forward,
We've got a meeting
meeting with
with the lieutenant,
Lieutenant and
And fire.
Tim,
and I'll bring it up to the
fire commissioners.
fire
Yeah.
commissioners. So usually Deputy Chair is at our meeting, so that's why I can bring it up.
Mhm.
All right.
Sounds like a plan going forward.
Great.
Well,
And we'll just, figure out the date of that meeting. Is that one?
Yeah, I'll give that out now.
Jeannie will get back to you with that.
Great.
Yep.
I'll just say, Jeannie, I'm gone on the 31st of this month, and I'm back the Sunday before Thanksgiving, and then I'm back the whole until January. So I don't know if somehow
I'll call you on Monday.
we'll figure it out. Okay, thanks.
Good.
Great.
I'm good.
So is that good with the
Okay.
board that we work with the lieutenant
Yes.
in the fire department? Joe?
I don't know if that gentleman that had a question earlier is still there, but I'd like to hear his question.
Okay.
And I may not get another chance later on.
Yeah, I think that was,
Chuck.
was that Chuck or was that Dan that had a question?
Chuck.
Yeah, I had a question. I was curious what the town of Tilton's
I can't-
enforcement is. Is it parking tickets first, or do you go right to towing?
Could you just say your name again for the record, just because
I'm
we
sorry.
can.
Dan Doyle, 1011 Laconia Road, Tilton.
Thank you.
I believe it's a warning, a ticket, and a more severe ticket, it elevates. And it's towing.
Okay. Well, thank you. I just wanted to know your system. Thank you much for answering it.
You're welcome. Thanks, Joe.
All right. Anything else in this hearing? No other comments? I guess we will end this hearing.
Yeah, we did.
Well, okay, well, for the board.
We did, but I wanted to hear what the guy
No,
had to say.
Yeah, I only ended public comment.
Oh, then I take it back. I'll shut up.
All right. Thank you. So I'd like to thank you all for coming and providing your input. It was good.
Thank you.
And stay tuned, and we'll probably have another discussion on this in a few weeks. Or a
Thank
month.
you.
Thanks.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
Good
All
night.
right.
Good
thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Well, thank you.
Jeannie, can I leave this with
Yeah.
you for the next time?
Well, no, we have a half hour.
New business.
Sure, we can move, what do we got here? New business. We'll move that up to 6:30.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
Good night. Jeannie, what are you talking about plans for Christmas? For the staff, employees, Christmas party? We didn't do one last year. Are you in the throes of talking about it, or?
We'll just get ready for Halloween.
I know, but I was
You
just
mean you're not like
wondering.
Walmart?
Yeah, I mean, 8 weeks away.
What about Easter?
Valentine's Day.
Well, if they were gonna plan ahead a little bit.
I'll bring that to you next week. Next Tuesday's just so you know, the staff will be dressing up like the bees.
Oh,
Is there
So right now,
there needs to be pictures.
And you know who the beekeeper is,
You?
Tim?
Tim?
no,
Speak.
no, good for him.
Oh, there's better be pictures of this somewhere along the line.
Can we have video instead of
Video,
pictures?
yeah,
We
video.
have cameras all over the
I was gonna say, can't we just tap into the?
Can we set this up right here
Yeah.
downstairs?
the
I
little
mean,
parade?
if that's something you want to talk about, then I'm fine, but
What,
I'm
the
not
bees?
really No,
Oh.
it's about Christmas.
I think it's, we're pretty.
So can I bring up my question I had
Yes,
about this?
please.
So we just had a discussion about donations.
Mhm.
We're signing something. Is this a request for a donation or is this accepting a donation?
I was asked to draft that letter for the board to sign. Pat will take it with her tonight and give it to these folks.
Okay, so we're requesting from this
I don't know.
establishment. Okay. I just want to make sure because we just had a discussion about donations. And now we're going to, okay.
It goes.
No, this is, I'll let you read it. I just,
Oh, I read this.
correct, but we had a discussion about donations before.
Yeah.
So.
Because it says you're offered to provide, like,
And so moving forward with our accepting of donations, that would be right for the list.
I can't, I don't know. I'm not
I
actually-
say it would seem as though as we're expanding our, everybody's fine.
Yeah, no, give it to Pat. She wanted it. So
We could add that to the list.
this?
Yeah.
Yes, and so just as a kind of background, since I've been here, it has been the practice of this board to accept anything, no matter how small,
Yeah.
$5 donation. The lowest we did was a $5 donation from Seal Up. That's the time that I've been here, that's what we have done, that's been the practice.
And I agree with that.
And she is right, in the past, we have not accepted McDonald's donations, but that's because, as you know, we learned through a process that we went through a year or two ago, that donations were being accepted that were not coming to the town for formal acceptance. And as you know, so that changed. That's why you're seeing it this year, because in the past, we weren't getting that, and
Yeah,
now,
exactly. They should
right,
be reported.
everything needs to come to the town.
Is this comparable to their donations in the past?
This is more, my understanding.
I was gonna say, I was a part of passing those.
And that's my understanding. Well, I don't want to have the discussion here, so.
Yeah.
But in any event, as I said to Pat, whatever this board wants to do, however you want to accept donations, just tell me and let's just be consistent.
And I'd like to accept them all.
Scott, so you had a question.
So, well, I'll beg the question again, that however we do it, I think for future generations of board, being able to just establish the policy or parameters then makes the picture clear.
Mhm.
So once we decide, let's get it down, have it recorded and on paper so that we know that that's the policy going forward. It just makes it easier to understand. And I'm just, I'm in the boat of accepting them and acknowledging them. I understand with the situation like Selectman Constantino's talking about, that we may have to say, let's accept it after, after the event. But that's just one where we just have awareness on that. But in terms of accepting them, let's just accept them. I think it's a nice thing, especially with small town.
Mhm.
Just to let you know, that's a $900 donation
Mhm.
based on a little math I just did.
Mhm. So I don't know where, I did send a text, and she is supposedly underway. We've got a non-public at 7:30. We've got a hard stop. So when we go into non-public, we've got a hard stop at 7:30 to do the swearing in. And then whatever we don't finish in non-public, we'll go back.
So do we want to go to non-public now, once she's,
Because there's something that needs to happen in non-public before.
no, but do we want to go into it early? Can we go into non-public early?
Yeah, is she coming? So yes.
Okay. So, Did Did anyone put the sign out downstairs so that people start showing up?
Is this for me to take?
Yes.
Did you put the sign in? Oh, thank you.
All right. For the time being 6:35 PM, I make a motion to enter non-public session per RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2A. The dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee or the disciplining of such employee or the investigation of any charges against him or her, unless the employee affected, 1, has a right to a public meeting, and 2, requests that the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. We expect to be back into public session at approximately 7:30 PM. Do I have a second?
Ruggles second.
Ruggles second. Roll call vote.
Constantino, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Pyra, yes.
Ruggles, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
We are in non-public session at 6:36.
This conference will now be recorded.
You know you're swearing in town.
I make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public session of October 21st, 2021, because the reasons justifying the need for the non-public session still remain.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are now moving on to the police department swearing in ceremony for Sergeant Salmon and Lieutenant Gilman.
Here's a good looking crowd. Oh, yes.
Wow. What's also that? Look at him. He's like, oh, look at that, like the suspended. I like the police uniform though he had on.
I know, that was better.
That's way better. Wow. You gotta watch some of those chairs, sorry. Be workers' comp. If he's got a gun, just remember that, so.
I'm not afraid of that. I'm afraid of the taser.
No, but I'm afraid of it going off if he tips back over in the chair. All right. Yeah. So do we do Sergeant Salmon first?
I will not.
Wow. You can't see it on camera, but we have a bunch of people here.
This is.
We can move it over there and then you can catch the whole thing on camera.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
yes, absolutely.
Has she even did?
Absolutely.
No one wants to swear.
Are you nervous?
No, I'm doing 8.
So say, Sergeant,
This is Jonathan.
wait.
All right.
Did he just assault you?
Yeah.
Technically.
Tried to burp him, one or the other.
I think that's.
All right. To the inhabitants of the town of Tilton in the county of Belknap and the state of New Hampshire, whereas there is a vacancy in the position of sergeant in the town of Tilton, whereas we, the subscribers, have confidence in your ability and integrity to perform the duties of said office, do hereby appoint Andrew Salmon to the position of sergeant for the town of Tilton, New Hampshire, which shall be effective as of October 14th, 2021. And whereas upon your taking the oath of office and having the appointment and the certificate of said oath of office recorded by the Tilton Town Clerk, you shall have the powers, perform the duties, and be subject to the liability of such office until another person shall be chosen and qualified in your stead. Given under our hands the 21st day of October in the year of the Lord, 2021, the Board of Selectmen. Raise your hand. Repeat after me. I, Andrew Salmon,
I, Andrew Salmon,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully
and impartially discharge
and impartially discharge
and perform all the duties incumbent on me
and perform all the duties incumbent upon me
as sergeant for the town of Tilton, New Hampshire,
as sergeant for the town of Tilton, New Hampshire,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeably to the rules and regulations
agreeably to the rules and regulations
of the United States Constitution
of the United States Constitution
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire,
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
so help me God.
So,
Okay, Abraham Gilman, to the inhabitants of the town of Tilton and the county of Belknap and the state of New Hampshire. Whereas there is a vacancy in the position of lieutenant in the town of Tilton, and whereas we, the subscribers, have confidence in your ability and integrity to perform those duties of said office, do hereby appoint you, Abraham Gilman, to the position of lieutenant for the town of Tilton, New Hampshire, which shall become effective October 14th, 2021. And whereas upon your taking the oath of office and having this appointment and certificate of said oath of office recorded by the town clerk, you shall have the powers, perform the duties, and be subject to the liability of such office until another person shall be chosen and qualified in your stead. You can raise your right hand from the oath of office and repeat after me. I, Abraham Gilman, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all of the duties incumbent on me as lieutenant for the town of Tilton, New Hampshire, according to the best of my abilities, agreeably to the rules and regulations of the United States Constitution and the laws of the state of New Hampshire. So help me God. You can have all.
So I can't have that.
No, you can always, okay.
Pictures?
Yeah.
You want your certificate? Of course.
Pictures. We're at a non-public, yeah. We're in public section. So it's live. No, that's fine. Yeah, we'll take a picture. Yeah, make.
Do you want to get the rest of them?
Yeah. Come on, guys.
You're good.
Everybody look this way?
Now look at this way. There we go.
Now look down.
Yeah, now look up here.
Follow my finger. Feet in front of you.
Thank you.
This way. Say, can't see mom's face. Say, Sergeant. Say Sergeant. You got some fun.
It's really shy.
Okay, so let's see if we can wrap this up. Yeah, we're definitely.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Well deserved. You must be very excited. I like your haircut. I don't know where you got that haircut, but if I had hair, I would wear it like that. Yeah, I would like Lord from the next generation.
They didn't know that. You saw, yeah. I was at home.
Oh, I like that. One for any match.
Yeah. You called me, and you called me before that, and then you called me after. I just missed it. I was in my truck and I was there. Channel 9 was there, and they walked around. I like that shirt on. I don't care if Frank, I'm getting. Where's this guy?
So the funny dude is gonna be king, but I think they lied. I'm a big fan.
Yep.
I'm a big fan. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We always said that we had something easily. Still. Just for helping.
Franklin, insurgents, I can see the becoming more person that cross between the two and Route 93. So
We to get to Franklin, King Coney.
anything about the probably parking.
Just kind of relax.
I was what?
I think it's
Did he ask you? But I was doing that whole thing with that gentleman with the drive. I'll watch the.
Yeah, it's just half an hour. 2 hour parking, and that's 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Or whatever. It's various.
All right. Yeah, we gotta get back to work. Because I hate to say it. I hate to say it. All right. If the board members can come back to the table so we can resume the business of Tilton.
Well, I'm sure you guys.
Because
Are you just going on your own here?
Yeah.
You just right here?
I'm gonna go eat first, then we'll fix what's going on.
Okay.
thank you. Out of here.
Are we ready?
Joe's
Yeah.
ready.
Okay.
See you guys. Thank you.
This is Joe's
Pat
most,
John,
this is
Pat
Joe's most
John.
important job.
No, because this is like, we came out of non-public.
We seal the minutes.
We sealed the minutes. Do we have to go back into non-public for anything, Gene?
No,
You finished?
yes,
All right. And we finished your town administrator's report.
yes.
We did new business.
Yep.
Only my section remains. Hey, John,
John
John.
Scanlon, please report to the selectmen table.
John, Joe's ready.
I'm ready, John.
So as the clock strikes 7:45 PM, I'll start with Mr. Joe Jessup. Do you have anything for us this evening?
Mr. Chairman, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Oh, aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 7:46 PM.
And thank you all for playing
A
along.
half hour early.
Stop.
That might be a record.
That might be-
Not jinx us.
That might be a